Any questions?
None so far.
Okay. So some of these have additional documents, but if you just scroll down to where the actual declaration page is, if you see the insured person, it's going to be the borrower's name. It can be a trust if they have their title as a trust. It can be if it was like a company, it'll show an LLC. But so in this case, it's for our borrowers and it has their name. It's going to be an HOI. The moment, if you see right here, this mortgagee section, which is also known as the lost payee, it gets updated to the new bank or the new lender that we're submitting the file to, then that's when you will rename this document as EOI. So let me open up another one. So on this EOI, let's see if they have the invoice here. So this is going to be for new refinance. I'm not sure if this is a file you're working on, but this is a new refinance property. So we would request to have the lost payee updated. So at this point, this document here is saying this is how much your policy costs, right? So the expiration on this, it looks like June 2024 to June 2025. So that means for 90% of the time, homeowners insurances are paid in full for the entire year. So payment, this is saying payment is due and it's paid by the mortgagee. However, this policy was renewed back in June. So I would say it's about 99% chances that we are going to request for the paid in full invoice. So once we get that invoice, it's just going to show the total due as 0 or paid in full. Okay. So the EOI in this case, so like for example, this paid in full one right here, the amount due is showing 0.
Okay.
And it has the payment received. So this one was for refinance as well, because the policy was renewed back in May. This policy should already be paid for. If this policy, let's say, was being renewed this month of July, we can probably it'll probably show the amount due and it'll have to be paid at closing. But because this was already renewed back in May, it should already be paid.
Okay.
Okay. Now the EOI, on the other hand, if you scroll down. Oh, just kidding. This isn't an EOI. It's labeled incorrectly. So this is a renter's insurance. So if you can see, it's not the company here. It shows for renters. And then there's no lost payee or mortgagee here because it's for renters. This one, we don't really run into this one a lot. The only reason we have this one is because of the program for this particular borrower. So let me open an actual EOI here for you. So this EOI here, again, if you look at the name insured, it'll have the borrower's name, the property that's being insured. And then this one is actually the bill, the invoice. So the total premium is this much right here. If this was due, they would have it as a 0 balance. Okay, so the mortgagee down here. The invoice for this one, let's see if it's this. No. So this one right here is another policy. Again, we have the name insured, the borrower's information. This is the property that's being insured. So for an insurance policy, all these other ones that we've seen, if you can see, it has dwelling coverage and personal coverage, personal liability versus, let's see, that's right here, the dwelling, personal. Whenever you see these additional coverages, it's going to be for an insurance policy. Again, for the regular insurance, homeowners, it's going to have the insured as a borrower. The invoice now, if you see this invoice here, it has the borrower's name. If you're not sure if that's the borrower's name, you can always go back to, usually it'll have the policy number and the company name. So if this one was labeled as EOI, then the invoice is going to be the invoice for the EOI, not the master EOI. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so in this case, this insurance name matches our insurance policy.